been a while since I've created a video on this channel. That is not a good thing. Let's get back to it. As we go through this video, I'm going to be sharing what the updates are on Flowtelic, what's been happening with the book, Atomic Note-Taking, and what the big picture vision is for what's coming next. There's a lot going on, and this video is going to be a bit of a digest about what kind of content I want to create to share with you, both educational and behind the scenes, and also use it as an opportunity for you to comment to me what it is you would like to see in these videos. What is it you're working on? Where are your pain points? This is where I can add value. I can provide insight, I can provide ideas, and I can make things interesting. One of my goals with YouTube is that as you watch my videos, you come out with more ideas than you started with, and that it's kind of giving you a bit more clarity about where to go next. Okay. So yes, getting back to YouTube, one of the things that makes YouTube really hard, if you're a content creator, you know this, getting your environment optimized so that you can create content easily. That's audio, that's lighting, that's just basically having a clean desk. Like these things, when you're someone like me, where you live in a bit of chaos, that's not easy. So I've been working on this, moved house last year, that threw everything into chaos, and I realized that with the setup I had was not optimal. I needed this space here to get things going. And of course the wall art as well. Yes, I'm pumping the book. That's the cover of the book if you don't know, and that's the actual book up there. So yes, little details, optimizing, and it doesn't stop there. I've got a few more things to put around and just make it look nicer. But those are the small incremental improvements that just make things easy, make content creation easy, all of that. So the lower the friction, the easier it is for me to actually get to the bit that's important, is teaching you the things that you want to know, sharing what you want to hear, all of that. So I'm excited, and welcome to the new setup, basically. So next up, Atomic Note-Taking, the book. What's happening with it? Where is it at? So I launched that in December 2023 as a self-published author. It was great. You guys have been so supportive, joining the waitlist in the run-up to it, me sharing, creating the behind the scenes of it. I think the waitlist got to 1,500 people strong. The launch was amazing, and sales initially were really good, but over the years, 23, end of 23, 24, and into 25, it's sort of bubbling around. This month has been great, but previous months not so much. So I need to figure out how to help get the message out, get the book into the right hands, the people who want the book, the people who need the book, whether that's someone starting a PhD or even an undergrad degree. Maybe that's someone who's looking to improve their career capital, or they're like me, they just love learning, they love sharing, they love writing, they love blogging, all of those things. That's the kind of audience I need to tap into. So there's some challenges with that. I don't know how to market, really. I know how to create content on YouTube and just share kind of ideas and thoughts, but when it comes to paid marketing and all of that, I tried, it didn't work. So maybe there's an element of bringing that into the behind the scenes, showing the experimentation. One of the things that really bugs me is that everything I learn about marketing is how to set up ad campaigns, how to do your segmentations, or you do the tracking, all of that. But what it doesn't teach me? It doesn't teach me what words go on the ad campaign, what image goes on the ad campaign, what video goes on the ad campaign that helps sell the product. That's like a mystery, and I'm looking for it. It's a gap. I haven't found any marketing books or advertising books that tell me that thing. So that's the mission I'm kind of on at the moment. So I've got books in my library here to look at advertising from first principles back in the 60s and 70s and what they did. It's really hard to draw that. So I'm on that self-discovery. If you want me to share that, leave in the comments, that would be great. I feel like it's a gap in sort of the education that's out there. Is when you look at an ad, why do some make you want to buy more than others? I need to get that funnel working. So putting my entrepreneur's hat on, how do you take a product you've designed and build that funnel so that it provides consistent revenue to you? Flowtelic. A lot of you have been following the Flowtelic journey. Thank you. Again, the waitlist has been going since 2021. That's really hard for me to say as a creator, how long I've been working on this. It feels like it goes through starts and stops. That's not through lack of passion. It is simply just life, family, moving house, big challenges. It's life. this is never easy. The entrepreneurship journey is never easy. But I have still been working on the app, the core editor. So that's been completely rebuilt using new technology underlying, which means we can have inline blocks, images, all of that, and create more interesting components. And a lot of it is about the research I've been putting into how to do almost anything I want to do in that editor. And I don't want that to be a limiting factor of the app. And I've got little experiments that I've been working on, whether they make it in the final product, maybe not, but it helps me make sure that I don't have the trap I had before where the technology I used was limited, so that when I need to do cloud sync and I need to do the merging of the documents and all of that, it's like, oh, okay, it's not the right technology to base that on. This one, I've been very methodical. That takes time. I have a whole syncing mechanism now. But syncing, when you think of a desktop app that you're building and you want to do cloud syncing, right? So I edit on here and maybe that goes onto my iPad or into the web or into another device. Great. But actually, I've also thought of it in terms of synchronizing to other formats like Markdown. So as I'm editing, it will synchronize to Markdown. I've been working on that. One of my goals is that I could open up Obsidian and I could open up Flowtelic and edit in either one simultaneously. And there's some cool things I've got working at the moment where I can actually do more formatting in Flowtelic that's natural, and it gets represented in Obsidian, even though technically it only has things like bold and italics, but maybe not bold, italics, and underline at the same time. Right? So some things there without dropping into HTML or plugins or things like that. So some cool things I'm trying to do there, but there's some edge cases that need working through. It's not simple. I've got it at the moment so I can edit in Flowtelic, and that goes out into Markdown, at least for the simpler stuff, bullet point lists and stuff like that. But now going back the other way is what I'm working on. Like, this takes time, especially when you've got the start-stop approach. I wish I could do it quicker, all of that, but yeah, still working on it. But underlying the whole of Flowtelic is this workflow-driven mechanism. A lot of that is in the concept in the app at the moment. It just needs realizing out. So when you create a workflow, that could be, maybe I'm doing a research workflow, so I'm doing a PhD, or I'm doing a project management workflow, so I'm at work, or I'm working on an undergrad project, or just a side project, right? Or maybe I just want to do a daily journal workflow, so I can reflect on my own thoughts and kind of have ways to manage that. The goal here is not to have a specific workflow for Flowtelic, but it's an open, generic underlying core, but then the workflows give it that tailored app experience. And I'll give you an example. I've been teaching a PhD student, I've been mentoring a PhD student how to use Obsidian, how to set up a PhD workflow. And it's really hard when you've got something where you just need to get going with the content and the research and making your Zettelkasten and notes, but then you're struggling to set it up, the app, just the way. It doesn't work out the box. It's so generic. So for a lot of people, I've realized that there is a middle ground. You need the advanced, but it has to be easy. And that's where I think Flowtelic can really come in there. So that's kind of the underlying core philosophy for that. Still working on it, still pushing ahead. But yeah, it's a complicated product. I wish I could vibe code it. It's not that level of product. I'll come onto vibe coding in a minute because I've done some experimentation with that. Atomic Workflows. So Atomic Workflows is the sort of brand that I've published my book under. So atomic note taking is a way to create atomic notes. And I like this idea of atomic, small, incremental. And I feel like I want to push that towards helping you level up atomically, not big, heavy lifts. So maybe I want to learn how to do a bit research better. Maybe I want to understand how to negotiate better. All the little atomic things that I can sort of learn and I get better, I level up. So this was always a core concept of atomic workflows, is that the book, Atomic Note Taking, was one thing that comes out of that. Now, writing the book was such a massive piece of work because it is a proper book, right? It took a lot of research, a lot of writing, all of that. But I feel like there's a middle ground of how to execute on building smaller courses, smaller education, but just as valuable. But they're atomically written. So I've been inspired by a company called 42 Courses. So this is I think it's the Ogilvy kind of marketing company that they've created this course for behavioral science and things like that. And it's like, it looks really cool. And the idea is that you can look at the things that they do there and you can say, I could gain those skills and those skills and those skills. And Where I feel like there's a gap is taking that type of model and doing something that is, again, atomic stuff that I can use to build my career capital, to study better, to help my education, to help my personal learning, my personal journey, and focus around that. Basically, the stuff that I love learning, building that as a course. So yeah, I've been thinking about this, and the idea is it'll be a subscription, maybe like $10 a month, aligns with something like Skillshare at that kind of level, and to launch it with, say, 10 plus courses. This is a big project, but I've got the concepts. I understand what I want to do, and I understand the kinds of topics, and I think maybe that is an avenue that would be really kind of exciting to follow, again, as an entrepreneur and teaching. That will help inform content I can create on YouTube as well. So that's bubbling around. I'm going to be doing some experimentation with that over the coming months and seeing how easy that is to pull off and what's required in that. So if that's of interest, then do let me know. And what kind of topics would that be? It could be things like project management, study techniques, learning techniques. There's a bit of mindset stuff that I want to get in there, but also things like writing, how to write effectively, how to write efficiently, how to write cleanly, how to sell your ideas, whether you are actually doing it for marketing, but just in work, how to sell yourself to get a promotion, how to sell yourself to a client, how to sell your ideas for, I want to build it this way, but my team will be resistant. How do I do that, right? That kind of thing. There's a whole host of micro skills that are missing. And as someone who manages a team, as someone who's employed people, I can see these really clearly. And I'm like, okay, people don't know how to manage their inbox. People don't know how to manage their calendar. People don't know how to send an email. People don't know how to create a project flow. People don't know how to manage expectations. Like, all these things are micro atomic workflows. And I feel like that just needs putting in a place. $10 a month will be like, imagine you could just keep leveling up. And with that, you just get drip fed new things that make things better for you. Like, I don't know, I'm excited. It's something that I feel like I have to get out there because all the ideas are there, all the discussions I have. I just need a way to structure that and bring that into the world. So yeah, that is kind of this new future thing that I'm thinking about. But let's kind of put this together. Flowtelic, big heavy lift. Atomic workflows, not an understatement. Continue the YouTube. One would say that, Martin, you're kind of stretching yourself thin, doing too much. But the problem I have is that the whole lot makes sense to me. The workflows needs a tool that's going to basically allow you to execute that workflow really quickly. And ultimately, underpinning this is this desire for me to help people think smarter, help people take better actions, and help people have impact with those actions, right? That's where I want to get to. And whether I end up succeeding with atomic workflows or Flowtelic, or maybe both, like, I can't let one go over the other because they fuel each other. The workflows that I define in atomic workflows drives what the requirements of Flowtelic is. Having Flowtelic, but nobody to use it, no way of using it, needs the workflows. So the two sort of go step in step. And one way to think about it is the atomic workflows is that thesis of how do you do things, and Flowtelic is the execution of like where you do the things. So at the end of the day, as long as I'm creating value to people like you, where you live today smarter, better, happier than yesterday, like, that's all I ask for. So we'll see where that lands. I've always, as long as I know the direction I'm going in, the method, and I'm keeping constant progress on it, everything else doesn't really make much of a difference as long as I'm progressing. So whatever this is, we'll see where it goes. Like the book, I didn't intend to write a book. This YouTube channel, I didn't intend to create this YouTube channel. I was learning a thing. Someone was asking about the thing. I'm like, okay, let me help you understand it. Let me create a video to help you understand it. That started the YouTube channel. That's how I got known as, in that Zettelkasten sphere. From that, I get invited to teach it to PhD students in a university. I get people coming to me saying, can you mentor me for my PhD? I'm like, I don't plan these things. They just happen because I was present, because I was pushing, because I believe in the end goal, not necessarily the method to get there. And I'm happy to share the process as we go through that. So that's a bit of the big picture. Now, there's a thing called career capital that I'm also keen about. Why should you care about leveling up? Why should you care about learning more? And all those things. And with that, it really comes down to career capital. And it's a thing that I love. I love as a concept. It's something I try and teach when I'm mentoring my team or people who've reached out, is career capital is the way you accelerate your success in your career, okay? I probably will focus on that more so than the personal lives of families and relationships. But when it comes to career gives you purpose. Purpose gives you kind of happiness, gives you a challenge that is slightly bigger than you that you can dedicate to. It's very rewarding. And with that, you can build a life that you desire, right? And career capital is a way to accelerate what they call the treadmill, or the escalator of going through your career. Waiting for that promotion. There's no pushing for that promotion or pushing for the business idea and pushing forward. So that is something I think about quite a bit. I want to explore that more, structure that more in terms of my teaching. And sort of related to that is I got asked to review someone's resume, someone who I got to know through doing content creation. And he's just finished his university or college, because he's American. And he sent his resume over, and I thought, oh, it's interesting. Like, I can see very clearly the gaps between what you've got and where you're trying to get to. This is something that I don't know if it's a teachable skill, but looking at what you have to where you need to go to, and basically doing a 180, not 360, a 180, and seeing it from the other perspective of the person who's hiring, not the person who wants to be hired. When you look at it like that, I could see so many areas of that resume that needed addressing. And the funny thing is, I recorded a video of me going through that. It was an hour long. And I thought, you know what? This could be an interesting service as an experiment. So I created, using vibe coding, I created a website called Resume.fail. Okay. And it served two purposes. One, I got to see what AI can do in terms of accelerating the creation of software. And I built this project. 99% of that software, that website, is AI coded. And I learned an awful lot. Now, bearing in mind, that sounds scary. Am I going to do the whole thing and just let AI do it? No, I went in, I understood what it was doing. I've got many years of coding. It was my way of really knowing what the AI can and can't do and where to use it in projects. But at the same time, I thought I can build something really quickly and launch that. So yeah, go to Resume.fail, and it will essentially do a bit of selling. Yes, for every job that's out there, 250 applicants on average will apply for that, okay? And only a small portion of those will actually get an interview, and of those who get the interview, only a small portion of those will actually get an offer, right? The funnel is so small for the volume. But when it comes to a resume, I probably reckon 90% of them do the same mistakes. I've seen resumes, CVs, and we call them in the UK. I've seen them over the years, and most times than not, I'm like, oh, you're just making life hard. I can't see why you're not selling yourself. And it's so simple. It's so simple. So the goal here is that you upload your resume. Yes, there's a $50 kind of fee for my time. I will then review it, see if I can add value. If I can, then you pay. I record a video, deliver it back to you, and think about it, right? You spend thousands getting debt, going through university, college, and you need to get a job. And for that one fee, it's like I could get a head start at trying to get the interviews at the places that I really want to work for, places that may pay better. That'll come back. So it all sort of falls under this career capital, where a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of insight can have such an outsized impact on the outcomes that you can achieve. And that's how I approach my mentoring. It's how I approach kind of my teaching and things like that. And yeah, I've tried packaging as a service. I'd like to say it's been a success, but I'm not marketing it. So that goes back to my skills of learning how to market. And maybe we'll use Resume.fail as an experimentation, right? Lots to think about, lots going on, lots of things I've been learning. And that's just the side projects, right? My day job, I've been learning so much about team management, project delivery, the projects themselves, and all of that. So I want to bring it all together, start creating content, a bit more of the behind the scenes. The YouTube keeps me accountable. so that I keep momentum with my thinking. It won't be perfect, but it doesn't need to be, as long as I'm going in the right direction. And very much, I want you guys to feedback and be involved, drop comments. If you've got ideas, if you want me to talk about the same thing, more than happy to do that. You know, things I would love to do. I'd love to do live resume reviews. If you've got resume and you're happy for it to be done on camera, I would love that. The reason why I can't do that is because of the personal information. It puts people in an uncomfortable position. So I'll probably try and normalize or generate the equivalent of a resume and do that live. I'd love that. If you've got like a note-taking challenge or a research challenge and you want to talk through it, and drop the comment. I can either create a video talking to those points, but if you want to be on camera and talk them through, I would love that. So that's an area that I'm weak at, is asking people to collaborate. And I love being asked to collaborate. It's easier that way. But if you can see any opportunity where you want to join in, go for it, right? As I say, these things, you don't know where it ends up, but usually it's in a better place than when you started. So that's it. Lots going on. This is a kind of breaking the ice kind of video, sharing what's happening. I'll just create what videos in the meantime I feel are probably useful for yourselves, maybe a bit of experimentation. I know my channel's about note-taking and such, but I might branch out into other areas just to keep the conversation going and see where it goes. So thank you very much, and look out for new videos coming soon.